Today, we will analyze the latest rumors about quarterbacks associated with the Pittsburgh team. There is plenty to discuss, especially regarding one specific athlete. We are in the third week of the NFL's transfer window, and this player has yet to make a decision on where he will play in 2025. However, it seems that the Pittsburgh team has set a flexible deadline for him to make his choice, and I will soon reveal that date. But before we dive deep into this topic, if you're tired of the uncertainty and want a conclusion, consider showing your support by clicking the like icon. If we can reach 500 likes on this video, maybe it will help make a decision easier. Let's start with a report from a source indicating that the Pittsburgh team is a solid option to eventually secure this player's signing during this transfer period, and that he will likely become the team's starting quarterback. Additionally, there's an article from a reputable sports publication exploring what this athlete is looking for in his next team and why Pittsburgh fits that profile. It was highlighted that he is looking for a culture similar to that of a famous team, and in this regard, Pittsburgh has an advantage. The city has an established culture, a family-like atmosphere, and stability, similar to what the other team offers. It is also worth mentioning that the roster has experienced veterans who are in the later stages of their careers and likely share a sense of urgency to win now. Moreover, it has been reported that he may visit a team in New York this week, after having already met with the Pittsburgh team last week. If he is indeed taking his time considering his options, it adds more complexity to the situation that is developing. A recent article pointed to the possibility of a meeting between Rodgers and the New York Giants this week, similar to what happened with the Pittsburgh Steelers last week. If Rodgers is indeed focused on exploring his options, it makes sense for him to seek a conversation with the coaching staff and management of the team to better understand the organization. However, even if this visit happens, it is unclear what would convince him that this choice is more advantageous for winning a Super Bowl and cementing his legacy as one of the greatest quarterbacks in history, compared to the offers the Pittsburgh Steelers have, which include a solid defense and a talented group of wide receivers. Additionally, the team has an outstanding tight end and is about to select a high-quality running back, having made significant investments in the offensive line to ensure protection for Aaron Rodgers. So, even if he visits New York, the decision should be made soon, possibly later this week, but we have to wait. The deadline mentioned indicates that the Steelers have set a flexible deadline for Aaron Rodgers, which would be on April 21st, when organized off-season practices begin. At that point, Rodgers will need to develop chemistry with his wide receivers, as he tends to adjust plays at the line of scrimmage. For the offense to function well, this connection must be established, which usually requires Rodgers' participation in the entire off-season program. When signing a player like Rodgers, the team naturally adjusts to some of his preferences, including signals and concepts that he values, and this integration begins in the voluntary April practices. Therefore, April 21st is crucial for the consolidation of these aspects. The deadline is essential, particularly when signing someone like Rodgers, as the team adopts characteristics he appreciates, and the adaptation begins during the voluntary activities in April. Rodgers is aware of this, and the dynamics must be harmonious, as everyone must be aligned with his playing style. This date seems appropriate if the signing is indeed finalized. With new information about Aaron Rodgers' situation, it has been revealed that his visit to the Steelers was well received, and he enjoyed his time in Pittsburgh, considering it an interesting option. The expectation is that Rodgers will become the Steelers' next quarterback, but there is growing pressure for a decision. So, share your thoughts. Will the Steelers manage to close a deal with Aaron Rodgers by the end of the month? Today is March 24th, and we're 1 week away from April. Will Rodgers sign by then? Leave your opinion in the comments. At this point, we'll take a brief break for ads, and it's a good opportunity to reflect on the possibility of this signing. Changing the subject, it is relevant to discuss other potential quarterbacks available. A pertinent question is whether, if the Steelers fail to secure Rodgers, they would be open to bringing back a well-established quarterback. If so, what would it cost to bring this player back at this point? And what are the expectations regarding a new contract? There is varied information about what he is seeking for his next deal. Recently, it was reported that he is willing to play for a 1-year contract worth slightly more than what the team plans to offer one of their current players next season. Furthermore, A commentator from Sports Network also spoke on the situation of this quarterback. One athlete informed the interested franchises that he is willing to sign a one-year deal worth $5 million, which is only $1 million more than what it is estimated a team would pay their quarterback next season. A journalist from a renowned broadcaster also stated that he seeks to receive between $20 and $30 million per season, according to his sources. Therefore, it is unclear who is correct. An analyst has been assertive in several situations this offseason, but the broadcaster itself highlights that the quarterback intends to receive between $20 and $30 million. My assessment of this athlete's situation is that he remains my first option as a backup plan if the team fails to secure an elite quarterback. I would prefer another player, but I believe that if the possibility of bringing this athlete back arises, the offense could still adjust to his qualities, considering the receivers available on the team. I hope that this offensive line will be able to protect him better than last year, and that the running game will also improve with the selection of a new running back in this year's draft. If the relationship has been broken, as some rumors in the media suggest, what alternatives would the Steelers have if they lose the quarterback in the coming days? I will answer this question in a moment, but before that, the only certainty we have is that a wide receiver will wear the team's colors next year. And if you want to acquire a new jersey of this athlete, you can find it from a trusted supplier. By accessing a specific link and making a purchase, a portion of the profits will help keep the channel running, allowing us to continue offering these videos at no cost. Therefore, if you're thinking about buying a jersey and want to contribute, check out the link in the comments in the description. Additionally, there is a report indicating that two quarterbacks are in trade negotiations and having preliminary talks before the league's draft, so these are two potential alternatives the team could evaluate. These two quarterbacks have been mentioned in recent trade talks, according to a source from the league. Regarding one of them, personally, this seems like a bad choice. However, an analyst from a prominent sport publication pointed out that the team could be considering a trade if they failed to secure another quarterback in free agency. And those who know my opinion about this player know that I consider it a disaster. For me, he is out of the question, as he has completely lost arm strength, a clear sign that a quarterback may be nearing the end of his career in the league. Just look at examples of players who face this. When they start losing arm strength, it's often the end of the line. We saw that last season. Therefore, if he joins the team, I fear that the situation could get complicated and he may even end up on the bench. In fact, I believe that another current quarterback would be a more viable option at this point. There is no way I would give up a draft pick for this player, as a source in their report suggests some teams would be willing to do so. If I were on the team, I wouldn't give up my draft pick, which is number 83, to acquire a quarterback who, in my view, has 0% chance of succeeding. That's totally unfeasible. Regarding the other quarterback mentioned, for the right price, I would consider bringing him to the team. However, the cost needs to be fair. It is impossible to guarantee that he has a real chance of succeeding as Pittsburgh's quarterback, as this alternative seems unfeasible. On the other hand, the idea of signing him, compared to the other quarterback mentioned, can be considered as long as the cost is reasonable. I will explain what that price should be soon. Observing his performances and the skills he possesses as a player, it is clear that he has impressive size and notable throwing talent, along with a surprising throwing speed and the ability to make passes from various positions. Additionally, he stands out as an above-average runner, demonstrating himself as a competent athlete, and shows admirable competitiveness, always ready to face big challenges in pursuit of a new first down or touchdown when needed. However, the accuracy of his passes has been a stumbling block since his college days, as well as his decision-making ability with a high turnover rate. His performance in the pocket is also not the best. To me, he presents himself as a backup in development in the league, although he has promising tools at his disposal. He is 25 years old, younger than other athletes who could be selected in the early rounds this year. As I mentioned earlier, his measurements are impressive, standing 6 feet 4 inches tall and weighing 230 pounds, with a very favorable contract since he was not drafted in the first round. Looking at his scouting report, his physical attributes deserve attention. Now, let's consider some encouraging statistics from last season that suggest his potential to establish himself as a quarterback in the league. His percentage of big throws was among the top 10 when it comes to difficult throws in tight windows, with 4.7% of his passes categorized as big throws. He also stood out in ball release agility, averaging 2.68 seconds to release the ball, a time really faster than the average of renowned quarterbacks. This places him fourth in release speed, which could help limit the number of sacks he takes. When analyzing the pressure rate he faced, it is impressive to note that he dealt with a considerable amount of pressure. Even though he managed to release the ball quickly, he had a high pressure rate. With 38.7%, this shows that he faced significant pressure, especially considering one of the worst offensive lines in the league last season. When we examine the pressure differential, which looks at the average time to throw versus the pressure rate, it demonstrates how insufficient the offensive line was. He ranked first in this category, with a considerable difference from the second place. The protection he received was so poor that it resulted in a significant negative score. However, it is crucial to note that there are reasons why the team might be distancing itself from him, possibly looking for better alternatives in the upcoming draft. When analyzing some concerning statistics, he ranked unfavorably in metrics like EPA per play, completion percentage, yards per attempt, and turnover-prone plays. This signals a tendency to throw passes that can be intercepted, which does not align with the coach's style. However, if the team is interested in selecting a quarterback with potential in a later draft round, he might be an attractive option. His quick release and the way he throws the ball resemble those of standout quarterbacks, especially in terms of his rotation during the throw, allowing the ball to leave his hands quickly. If the team can secure a starting quarterback to guide him, this combination could be promising, where the experienced player would have the opportunity to help develop the more subtle skills, especially regarding defense reading and pocket play. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The Pittsburgh Steelers are buzzing with excitement as rumors swirl about the potential acquisition of Baker Mayfield, a quarterback with a history of delivering high-stakes performances. Mayfield's name has quickly climbed the list of candidates for the Steelers' future. With his recent stint at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where he led the team to a division title and earned Pro Bowl honors, the Steelers are intrigued by his experience and knack for bouncing back from adversity. Could this be the spark the Steelers need to get back in a championship contention? While Mayfield's career has had its ups and downs, starting with his impressive rookie season and his struggles at Cleveland, Carolina, and Los Angeles, his resilience is undeniable. His ability to lead the Buccaneers to several thrilling victories, including a game-winning drive after an Achilles injury, demonstrates his mental toughness and competitive edge. In Pittsburgh, where fans are hungry for another Super Bowl appearance, Mayfield could be the steady hand needed to guide the team through the tough AFC North battles. The Steelers' front office is weighing their options, and Mayfield's dynamic playing style could prove to be the perfect fit for their offense. As the NFL landscape continues to shift, the possibility of the Steelers adding a player with Mayfield's playmaking ability is generating waves of anticipation. If this deal comes to fruition, it might not just reshape Pittsburgh's playoff aspirations, but also add a new layer of excitement to the NFL's off-season drama. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.